Wake up everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more backward thinking, time for
All right, hi, my name is Councilman Khalid. You don't have to learn the last name because I know the first name is hard enough. Sunday, we will be 1 year old, the city of South Fulton. This is our inaugural council. 8 of the most passionate, colorful people you have ever seen. But before we go forward, I want to pour out some liquor for the folks who didn't make it to see this year. First person is Lieutenant Christopher Price. He was a member of the fire department. He passed last week, just 47 years old. Mr. Wayne Wright and Mr. Stanley Fletcher were in our code enforcement department with very limited staffing. They did their very best to keep Old National looking as nice as possible. Mr. Bob Mentor mentored several business people throughout the South Fulton area. Another great business person on Old National was Miss Nikki Bolden. Mr. Marcus Coleman, who is a community activist, led the charge to make sure that Nikki Bolden had a special day. She employed dozens and dozens of people on Old National that couldn't get jobs in other places. And she gave so much to our children through her daycare and just through the donations that she made to several athletic groups. No one did more for athletics than these two men that we lost in the past year. Coach Elbert Outlaw, who was a coach of basketball at Burdette Gym, and Coach Lamar at Old National Park. You can clap. I went to the funeral for Coach Lamar, and I've never seen so many grown men so emotional, because that is how many young men on Old National they helped. No one tutored this Old National kid more than my own mom, Miss Elsie Redden. She passed from breast cancer my first month in office, but she was there when I was sworn in. That was one of the last pictures I have, a very happy moment, and I know that she was very proud. Thank you. So now we're going to talk about some of our accomplishments to date. You've heard a lot of them from our city manager and from Councilwoman Jackson. We brought over planning and zoning, code enforcement, South Fulton Fire, and you heard a bit about this, but the ISO rating is what insurance companies use to calculate how much our insurance is, right? So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the best, 10 being the worst, we were at a 4 when we started, and thanks to the great efforts of Chief Few, we're now up to a 3. So you should see some lower, we're gonna see some lower insurance rates soon. South Fulton Police, we've already heard of wonderful Chief Rogers. She's got visibility everywhere, and Parks and Recs. So we've been busy. By the time we bring on Parks and Recs, which is coming next month, we'll have over 300 employees in the city. And by the time we bring on our sanitation liaison and our public works department, we'll have over 500 employees. So you heard Mayor Edwards talk about how we started with not even a phone or an office, and in 1 year, a little bit over 1 year, we're gonna have 500 people working hard on your behalf. Once we have all of these people in place, what kind of city are we building? I've really been pushing for us to have community conversations about what kind of city we want to have. This is a vision that I have for us at 12 years out, but I want us all to be thinking about what our vision is for South Fulton 2030. The first thing that we have to do, though, is understand exactly where we are, right? What we are, so that we can figure out where we're going. So we know that we're over 100 square miles, over 100,000 people. This will be online next week, so I know the print is a little small, you can't see it. By 2030, according to the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget, we're going to have a population increase of 26 to 39%. So in 2030, we're likely to have 140,000 people in this city, 40,000 new people. Some folks are clapping, some folks are not clapping. Some of us moved out here to get away from the urban sprawl and everything that was going on. So one of the things that we need to be thinking about as we look at our comp plan and our planning and zoning is how do we want to fit all of these people in? There are some cities like Chattahoochee Hills where they have special zoning requirements. Things have to look a certain way. They keep it less dense. We're lucky to have 102 square miles, so we can have very densely populated areas, and we can have very rural, quaint areas. We just have to zone for it, and we have to plan for that. And so we're going to be having planning and zoning hearings. We're going to go over our comp plan, and everyone is invited to really give feedback on how that works. The other thing that is very, very important, I know this is controversial, sometimes people don't want to talk about it, but that is our city is 89% African American. So we are a black city, but not only are we a black city, we are the blackest city in America. We are the blackest big city in America. We are blacker than Detroit, blacker than Jackson, Mississippi, blacker than Baltimore, blacker than New Orleans. Do you notice that there's one place that's missing? It's Atlanta. It's not in the top 10 anymore. So we know that being black in America is a challenge, right? Anyone who's been black in America knows that that's a challenge. So having a black city is a challenge. However, I believe that anytime you are the first of anything or you are the most of anything, there's an opportunity. Atlanta took that opportunity, and I think that we could follow their prosperity model. This is one of the things that I in my vision of South Fulton 2030, we had this wonderful mayor named Maynard Jackson, and the father of our city, Roger Bruce, who could not be here tonight, he sends his regards. He loves to tell the story about how when Maynard came into office, he went to the major banks in Atlanta and said, we can't do business with you as a city if you don't have more diverse boards. So thanks to his efforts in introducing minority partnerships and encouraging minority businesses, Atlanta became one of the best places in everybody's top 10 list for minorities to do businesses. Many of you came here because of that. Maybe you came because you came to a family reunion, or you came for college, or you came for Freaknik. No judgments. But you saw all of these folks that look like you doing well. You said, this is where I want to be. We have the opportunity to do that same thing in South Fulton. And for some people who want a more diverse community, don't worry, because when we're successful, we will attract everyone. Everyone will want to live here. We see that happening in Atlanta. By 2030, some of you may be coming to our council meetings, and instead of saying, I want to sell my house, I'm trying to move, you're going to be saying, I need help keeping my house because my house values have doubled and tripled, right? This is something that's happening in Atlanta. So as more people come in and our land that's affordable now gets more expensive, that's something that we need to be thinking about. So my vision of South Fulton 2030 has 3 parts. Our children matter, our dollars matter, and political education matters. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of those. Political education, those of you all who know me, I'm very, very big on political education. Our voter turnout in our inaugural election, our first election, 72 candidates, 14%. 14% turnout, which is actually not low. Most municipal elections have very low turnout. But that means a lot of people don't know about our city. I went out knocking on doors. I still go out knocking on doors with my team. 3 out of 4 people have never seen a map of our city. They don't know that they're in the city. People say, I thought I was in College Park. I'm putting College Park on our mail. So if you look at, I have some laminated maps. Please don't walk out with those because we go on doors with them. But one of the things that I started doing in my campaign and continue to do is go door to door and show people this is where you live. I also go with fact sheets, frequently asked questions about our city. Are my taxes going to go up? What about the schools? Right? So there are lots of people that still have questions as they're learning about the city. One of the initiatives I'm most proud of that we did this year was an electoral college. It's going to be an annual event where we bring in the judge, we bring in the code enforcement department, we bring in our solicitor, we explain to people, this is your city, this is how it works. One of the most popular classes we had, and I see some people that attended that class, was how to get a stoplight or a speed bump on your street. Right, so LaDawn, who is here, who's now our solicitor, she taught a wonderful class about how to lobby. And I'll never forget my favorite quote from that class. She said, lobbying is asking. So we have our state rep here. If there's something that you want to see from the state, lobbying is asking. She'll be here tonight. Ms. Deborah Bazemore, go up and ask. I have a website. I know that our city manager is working very hard on the website, and I wanted to have this website be a model or a template of what our website could be. So on the left side, there's always cityhood transition news. It's khalidcares.com. I think you probably all know that. On the right side, there's a South Fulton 101 section. That's always there. You can find what city council district you live in. There are lots of frequently asked questions. We dispel some myths about things that you may have heard in our city. There's also a page that's just for zoning. So you've heard people are very passionate about what gets built in our community. So there's a whole page for you to go to, and hopefully we can role model that on our city website. We sent out mailers. We don't have a lot of money as council people. We don't have a lot of money in our budget. If you got something in the mail, it's because you're one of those 14% that voted. So we sent that out. The back of that mailer had contact information for the city. I'm really excited. By the end of the year, we're going to have sanitation service, which means that we are going to have to send something out to every person in the city and say, we have sanitation service starting. Here's a model. I worked with a designer to come up with this model so that people could have numbers to the city and be able to contact their city council people, and as well as some of the county and state offices. It's very important to also explain what we do as a city and what is still done by the county, what is still done by the state. Our wonderful city clerk, who could not be here tonight, Mr. Mark Massey, has put our entire city code, all of our laws, online. If you go to khalidcares.com, right at the top it says research city laws. You can find any city law. You don't even have to put in the whole thing. We talked about Ms. Jackson, Councilman Rowell, and Councilman Willis's truck ordinance. If you put in the word truck, it'll come up, and you'll have that there. So if you want to know what's legal in our city, what's not legal in our city, what laws have we passed, that is a good place to go. Our children matter. I'm going to talk briefly about that. That's the second leg in this stool. We don't control the schools, but the schools and the quality of our schools do control our property values. So it's very important that we get involved in our schools. You're going to see me rolling out some initiatives about how people can get more involved in our schools next fall. At Ronald McNair Middle School, I found out when I was sworn into office that they had not had a PTA in 2 years. It's very important to know that you do not have to have a child in school to be in a PTA. And so I need some of my more seasoned residents who maybe don't have children in school, but have time during the day to stand in the gap, you know, to come and read to our kids, go over things. We're in the milestones test period right now. And so those letter grades not only determine how attractive our schools are to people who want to move here, but they determine how attractive our schools are to businesses and employers that want to relocate here. Mr. Christopher Midial, a legislative specialist, he does a lot of our research, but he also takes time out to come and read. We were reading one day at Heritage Elementary. Creel Park, those of you all know that I'm very passionate about Creel Park. Tried to move my whole office in there because I didn't want to wait for Mr. Phillips to get started. I'm very proud to announce that come summer of 2018, we will have a staff person in Creel Park full-time. This building has sat empty for nearly 10 years. So that is a major accomplishment. And parks are important. They're important for crime prevention. A study has shown that every dollar that we spend on children in parks and programs reduces juvenile crime costs by $2.50. That's a 250% return on investment. We've also learned that parks can increase property value by as much as 20%. We've replaced the poles. We had a pole that was falling down in Old National Park, and we also have secured $40,000 for lights and cameras. We're going to have lights and cameras and surveillance because we know this is important for people to feel safe in the parks. I have an initiative coming up where I'm working with the Fulton County's Board of Health. We do not have any place to get free health screenings. Though we're in Fulton County, the farthest south Fulton County Health Department location is in College Park. So we have a very innovative program that we hope to be rolling out in Creel Park where people are going to be able to come and get their blood pressure checked, get diabetes testing, get HIV testing. This is going to be free. And we're going to have support groups. We're also going to have things for seniors. Lots of people right now go to Frank Bailey or Kenwood Park. I used to go walking with my mom in Kenwood Park, and you shouldn't have to go somewhere else. We don't have a YMCA. We don't have a Boys and Girls Clubs, but we have 17 parks and 10 parks with facilities in them. My vision for South Fulton 2030 is turning those into community centers and holistic health centers where you're not just exercising your body, but you're exercising your mind, financial literacy, health screenings, and a total body, total wellness health. Last thing, our dollars matter. So I'm not going to get into this because my time is up. But what I do want to tell you is that on Saturday, June 9th, we have a forum that Councilman Baker and I have been doing since before we were elected. It's called the Future South Fulton Forum. And every forum we have a topic. We did one just about schools and getting involved in schools. We did another one where we were talking about the city name. This one we're going to have is going to be economic development. And we worked so well together this week, we're going to invite Councilwoman Jackson to come with us on Saturday, June 9th. We're going to have a roundtable. There will be developers there. There will be lenders there. And we will be talking about what is the vision for Old National. There's talk about Fulton Industrial Boulevard coming into our city, but I want you to know that these 3.5 miles, Old National is about 5 miles, but we have 3.5 miles in our city. It is the largest commercial corridor in our entire city. It is our downtown. We have the most populous areas in the city, which is why Old National has 3 council people representing it. So we have the most populous area, we have the largest commercial district, and so we're going to be talking about how do we make use of that and how do we maximize our potential on Old National. So I want everybody to come out to that. If you haven't signed up for my newsletter, you can sign up right now. Those of you all know I've done about 55 newsletters in the year that we're here, so you'll get one every week. You can text Fulton to 444-999 and tell anyone they know they can text Fulton to 444-999. We're going to use our technology. It'll text you back and ask you for your name, first name, last name, and your neighborhood, and then it'll sign you up for our newsletter. So thank you so much, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to our Mayor Pro Tem.
The world won't get no better. We gotta change it now, just you and me.